Yeah, and they're like, "Oh, Dan, you drove us here." Like, what?
I do remember that.
That was sweet.
That's
And I hated
problematic.
it the entire time. I was like, we need to leave.
Yeah, you're very self-conscious about that.
All right, so we are
Okay.
live. You guys are good.
Sick.
You don't have to change anything. The quote unquote show won't start for a few minutes, but we can still
I
shoot the
love
shit there.
you.
We're gonna we're gonna let everybody kind of get here because again, technical difficulties.
Mhm.
We're a little slow, but we will have some people show up. I've got the chat running on my end, so if they get any questions for you guys, I'll try to slip them into the conversation and stuff like that.
Okay.
Other than that, it should be pretty easy. Just us talking, kind of sharing. I want to hear from y'all's perspective, mostly about, I'm sure, what you guys get the most, going from one of the most institutionalized places on planet Earth to voluntarism. How did that happen? And then we can get into some nitty gritty, talking about a little bit of voluntarism philosophy and, maybe some coronavirus stuff if we want to stay topical. Sounds good?
Right on.
Hell
dude.
yeah. Sounds good.
Fantastic. Okay. Sweet. What is everybody drinking tonight?
Oh, I'm slamming down some Busch lattes like a true Iowan.
There we go. Okay.
Oh yeah.
So we got Iowa. Oh, I'll let you guys finish the drinks first before I go on to something else.
Yeah, Jake's slugging down Busch lattes. I'm slugging down Budweisers because I'm a real class active person.
There we go.
And I got some Yingling.
What were you
Okay.
drinking before?
What were you drinking? What were you drinking, Dane?
Vamps?
Yeah.
Some
What were you
wine.
drinking, Drac?
Wine.
What was it? Wine? What kind of wine?
Pinot.
Pinot Grigio?
Oh, so it was a red
No.
wine.
Noir.
Noir.
Ah, dry guy.
Dry guy. There we go. Yeah. So I guess I'm the only one drinking out of a bottle tonight. So.
Oh, I got one.
Oh, Dane's got
there it
Yingling
is.
now.
The
Yeah,
Yingling.
there it is.
I think I've only ever had Yingling from a can, honestly.
Really?
Yeah, my supervisor when I was in Georgia was from New York, and so he would just buy 30 rack of Yinglings every chance he got, and you just annihilate them. And so I'd go over to his place, hang out, and of course he's tossing cans of Yingling around like they're going out of style. So
I love Yingling. I think it's a really good beer, to be honest with you.
pretty good.
it grew on me. I'm typically more of like a hearty beer kind of person. Like this Shiner is probably like as light as I go, up to something like a true lager. But Yingling's not bad. I'll definitely drink it over a lot of other beers.
Hell yeah. No, it's good for sure. It's pretty rare to get in this part of the United States because we're on the opposite side of the Mississippi. But
Yeah,
Same with me.
it was weird. The first time I drank Yingling was when I was stationed in Korea because like they just stocked the PX with it one day and it fucking sold out in like 2 minutes.
they had Shiners in Korea. I'd gone my entire enlistment without having any Shiners the whole time I was out of Texas, and then I go to the BX one day, the shopette, and lo and behold, they got cases of Shiners in there, and I think I bought like 3 cases. I didn't know when they were coming back, so
You were in Texas and you couldn't get Shiners?
no, I was in Korea. I was.
Oh, I thought. Okay. Are you from Texas?
Yeah, I'm a Houstonian. So.
Okay.
Houstonian.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, me and Jake were stationed in Fort Bliss for a while, and we got Shiners there. It was like going out of style. So
yeah, I could see that.
Shiners and fucking what was the other one? Lone Star.
Tecate was big.
I was just about to say.
Lone Star. Yeah,
Lone Star, dude. I'd slam some Lone Stars. Like when we were doing the Skull Challenge, what were we doing? Fucking PBRs, weren't we?
It was PBR and Steel Reserve.
That's right.
Hey, that buy one get one half off PBR deal at the BX would also get me a lot too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I like PBR a lot, actually.
I do too. It's one of
I
my
prefer
favorites.
it over, I guess, maybe more expensive, cheap alternatives. You know,
I'm a connoisseur of cheap beer myself, so I really enjoy some Hams, some Busch Light. You know, I'll dabble in the Keystone Light sometimes, and oh yeah, some Natty Light or Natty Ice. I don't discriminate. It's fine.
Old Mill.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. Yeah.
Old Mill.
Busting out the classics, I guess we'll say.
Oh yeah.
All right, so we got some people showing up here, so I feel like most people won't get their feelings hurt for missing the beginning of the show. I always get somebody who complains, so somebody will complain this time too, but it's okay. I'm just gonna do a little clap for me so that when I'm going through the audio file, it's really easy to see where this starts. So hopefully it's not like super loud for you guys. I'll do an intro. I will introduce you guys, and then we'll get going. We'll have a conversation. It'll be fun.
Right.
Cool.
Right on.
All right. How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Christian, and welcome to Liberty After Dark. This day on a Wednesday, the 25th of March. Not our usual showtime, but we have a special exception for a special event. We have the Veterans for Voluntaryism crew, Jordan, Dane, and Jacob here. Say hi, everybody.
Yo.
How's it going?
Hello.
Yeah, so it took
Wow.
almost an act of God for me to get this stream to work, but I was determined to have these guys on ever since I found their show. I almost immediately messaged them and I was like, guys, we got to talk. So I think it's as all of you guys here know, I am also a veteran who is also a voluntarist. So it just seemed like this was just a match made in heaven. And then I saw that they were looking to go on other shows potentially or interested in other opportunities, and I jumped on it immediately. So it is awesome having you guys here. Why don't we real quick just go down the row? We can start with Jordan and then Dane and Jacob. Why don't you guys just give me the spiel? What's up? What did you do? How long you been out? All that jazz.
Sure. Yeah. I'm Jordan. One of the three hosts, like you said. I was initially the Army National Guard in Iowa as a 11 Charlie, so a mortarman. Deployed to Afghanistan with them. Came back, and shortly after coming back, switched over to active duty Army, so like the regular Army. Had to reclass to be a artillery cannon crew member. And then I did that for, let me think here, about 5 years, and then got put on recruiting duty and did that for 3. And that's where I kind of found my roots in the anarcho-capitalist movement. Read a lot of the books. Then we got this podcast going within that last year that I was still in. And, and I got out and we're just pushing forward now. So, like I said, in like my last year in recruiting, before that, I read Anatomy of the State, which was kind of like, okay, that, by Murray Rothbard, and that really got me pushed in that direction. And that was actually to Dane's suggestion. I was like, okay, I'll entertain you. I'll read this, short ass book. And it made a lot of sense and sort of saw it. What really kind of pushed me even further was reading Economics in One Lesson by Hans Hermann Hoppe. And
No,
that pushed me
Henry
into,
Hazlitt.
What's that?
Henry Hazlitt.
Henry Hazlitt. I'm sorry, dude. That was such a rookie mistake.
You're good.
Too many H's in the anarcho-capitalist movement, dude.
This is very true. There are a lot of H's.
Yeah, it's been a while since I read that book too. And then that kind of pushed me into like Scott Horton, Tom Woods, Red Fool's Errand, and just kind of getting into like the libertarian anarcho-capitalist podcasts and just really kind of putting my life towards it,
Cool. Yeah. So it sounds like Dane here was a big influence on you. So Dane, what's your story?
Joined in like 2008, went Marine Corps. I was a grunt, 2-1 weapons company. Went to Iraq in 2009 and then Afghanistan at the end of 2010 and got out in 12. And unlike most people we talk to, that's all I ever wanted to do. I actually wanted to go fight people. And once we got there, I just realized how wrong it was. And that we weren't actually doing anything, and that none of the people that we were interacting had anything to do with what happened to us. So I got out as quick as I could, and then went to the northern woods of Minnesota and started trying to answer all the questions that were brought to me while I was in. And it was kind of a hard time because I was literally in the middle of the woods, had nothing had no internet. Trying to thought I was the only one who thought like this, trying to get information, but had no real way of getting it. And actually, I liked Glenn Beck a lot back then. He was the first one that I kind of thought was making sense, but I liked him long enough to realize how inconsistent he really is.
Yeah.
So Jordan kind of introduced me to Ron Paul back 2012, 2013. So I switched from Glenn Beck to straight Ron Paul. Really, I kind of skipped right over Ron Paul and went straight to Lou Rockwell because I heard him say that he reads Lou Rockwell every single day. So that's what I started doing. And I don't know if you spend a lot of time on that site, but it can be pretty brutal for military people.
No, it can.
To read some of those articles, especially Lawrence Vance. I think that's Lawrence Vance. He's got some brutal articles. So if you get offended pretty easily, and if you're military, I'd read it right away and just deal with it.
Yeah. We'll definitely be talking about that later. I think something you alluded to there is really important to a lot of interactions with veterans. But yeah, man, that's pretty cool stuff. I appreciate you hearing that. A lot of similarities there too. How about you, Jacob?
Oh, mine's gonna sound a lot like Jordan's. So I'm Jacob, and I'm Jordan's younger brother. I joined the Iowa National Guard, and back in 08, joined. Then so Jordan, I joined a little bit before Jordan. Then but we were in the same company, deployed to Afghanistan together in 2010. Came back home and didn't really know what we wanted to do too much, so we both went active duty. We both went the same recruiter and went to AIT again because we both had to switch to 13 Bravo can crew member, which is fucking terrible decision. Everyone told us, but it is not a good decision. But stayed in it for a while. Then I got out in 2018, and just been living life ever since then. Yeah, I don't know. It's a lot very similar to Jordan's. But the way I found my way, I guess, is from these two kind of badger me the whole time, because I've been a Republican, like a libertarian leaning Republican, I guess you could say, for quite a long time, but I never really made the jump. And I don't know. I actually, I never really considered myself like anti-war, and I think that until very recently. And I think it was when we had Scott Horton on, when I was like, oh fuck, okay.
Yeah.
I think I feel comfortable calling myself anti-war now. But it's one of those things, I don't know. It's hard to kind of make that decision. Yeah, because like I think that the libertarian movement, the ANCAP movement, and wherever else, and all that stuff is very geared towards the anti-war thing, which is a good thing for everyone, especially for veterans, because being veterans, we really don't like seeing other veterans die, and especially veterans that make it through wars and come back home and kill themselves for what they did over there, wherever, for whatever reason they decide to do. It's like, if we stop going to war so much, then maybe we can stop our friends from dying and killing themselves even. So kind of just all starts making sense after talking to these two guys and everything else. And kind of, I don't read a whole lot of books like these two do, but I listen to a lot of podcasts and other stuff. So I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot of great creators out there. I mean, and if for a lot of people who aren't readers, I don't have all the time in the world to read, so I listen to a lot of audiobooks and a lot of podcasts. So I try to read when I can, but yeah, I feel you there. Sometimes you just don't have the time and day to sit down and read a book.
Oh yeah, like it's kind of hard, like dedicating yourself. I read a lot of books when I was in the army, because we'd go out in the field for fucking a month at a time and didn't know what to do. It would just be bored as hell. So I read Atlas Shrugged out when I was out in the field in NTC in California.
God bless you.
Yeah, we're out there for a month, and I read damn near that whole book when I was in NTC. So super bored. That's the life of being an artilleryman. You're sitting out there, just sitting there, and we didn't have money. Like our unit ran out of funding, so we literally just sat in place and sat there and didn't do shit for 30 days because we got out there and they're like, well, we ran out of money. Great. Yep, we're not getting resupplied fuel. We're not getting resupplied water. Hopefully, you brought enough water. I'm like, huh, well, I got a canteen.
Hurry up and wait, man. Hurry up and wait at its finest.
It was dumb. So I read Atlas Shrugged. And that was a good book.
Okay, so I know we kind of went in a row there, but I just want to make sure you guys know we don't have to like one off each person for everything. This is a totally kind of free form discussion, so no need to like wait, one at a time or anything like that, in that order. So,
hell yeah,
yeah, exactly. Not that we don't run that tight of a ship here. So. Just to give you guys, most of the people in the podcast know this already, but just to give you guys just a quick 2-second spiel, just so you guys have the context. I was an A-10 crew chief. I told you guys this a little bit earlier. I worked on A-10s out in Georgia and Osan Air Base. I deployed with them to in the fight against ISIS to Incirlik, and I got to see, I think, a unique perspective. Not for the Air Force, but compared to people who were on the ground. I got to I wouldn't say I was necessarily gung-ho about deploying, but it was kind of a civic duty sort of thing. I was a constitutionalist for a really long time, so I thought that it was my duty to support and defend the Constitution like the oath that I made. And at some point, watching white dots turn into a lot of really small white dots stopped being really cool and started being really kind of disturbing. And I don't know exactly when that was, but that was really, I think, we get satellite footages back. I mean, places that we liberated, like Mosul, that are basically giant parking lots now. That was a pill to swallow. Seeing the refugee camp that came right by Incirlik out of Syria, where we were doing all of our campaigns. They had a big long refugee line that would come through about once a month and go to middle of Turkey, and they would pass right by us, and we'd see this big couple mile long chain of people, and we're like, oh yeah, we kind of did that, didn't we? So we've all got our stories about the things that we either saw or did that brought us to where we were. But I think this is a good way to segue into the conversation that I have, I think, the most with a lot of veterans, that I kind of more just want to see if you guys have this same issue perhaps. But would you guys say that you run into a lot of veterans who almost feel like you have kind of undermined the things that people have gone through by turning your back on the state, perhaps? I think that's probably the best way to put it, the lightest way, perhaps, because it's voluntarious, like Jacob, Jordan, I think you guys all brought this up, is kind of the movement towards a de-interventionist style of looking at the way that at least the United States, if not, a voluntary society for certain, should be run. What do you guys think about that? Has that impacted your relationship with other veterans?
So for me, it's impacted it a little bit, and I would say that there's more intersectionality than there is, I guess, like animosity. So with a lot of people, and we've done it with the podcast too, we have Dan McKnight on our show pretty regularly. And he is not an anarcho-capitalist. Even Jake's not an anarcho-capitalist. He's just a limited government minarchist. And we just find where we can get the parallels to go towards a non-interventionist movement, I guess. And, a lot of people do a lot of really good work in the anti-war or non-interventionist movement. But there is sort of a label that's there, where it's like, no, okay, you're just, some peace-loving pacifist hippie. And it's like, oh, no, we're not, for sure.
Yeah.
We did violence for the state. And, we just are looking to push, we just are sick and tired of an unending war that, number one, like you mentioned, being a constitutionalist early on, I think that's really is where it starts. And that it's like, okay, these interventions are unconstitutional and I would argue illegal. However, even though the power structure is that they're creating the laws, so therefore they can't break the laws. But inevitably they're just people like we are. and we try to find that intersectionality with other veterans too, where it's like, okay, so you agree on this, you agree on that, and it's like, let's see if you can, I guess, see the real narrative instead of what the false narrative that's being pushed on you into believing that we should perpetuate an unending war cycle. So that's really what we're just trying to do. Is, you know, we are libertarians. Dane and I both pretty hardcore anarcho-capitalist. Jake, not so much, but you know, we try to intersect at that area where we all agree, and then we can sort of try to, I guess, push it towards a voluntarist type message overall. So, I mean, to answer the question, from what I've seen with a lot of veterans, is that they do not agree with the war in Afghanistan and Iraq. Definitely not with Syria or what happened in Libya and places in the Middle East like that, because ultimately they were conflicts built on lies, but they were propagated to believe, or they were coerced through, you know, bonuses, scholarships, or not scholarships, but like, you know, the GI Bill, blah, 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 name the incentive that you're going to be given at enlistment. And we're just trying to pull them back from looking at that. And it's like, okay, you don't have to continue service for lies. You know, you can go out to the economy and build yourself into something better.
I think, yeah, big thing with me too is like, you know, I try to, you know, I try to meet a lot of middle ground with a lot of people and stuff, and kind of put myself in their position and everything else. But obviously, putting myself in the veteran position is way easier because I, you know, been there. But it's like looking back on what I did while I was in Afghanistan and stuff. You look back on like all the places you're fighting in and everything else, and you look back and see what it's doing right now. It's like, well, what effect did I even have on that area? You know, like what did I really go out there fighting for? Like put my life on the line, my friends' lives on the line, and shit. Like, what did we actually complete? What did we actually complete? Like, okay, Roger, we got the mission from the chain of command. They told us go here, and if they start shooting at you, shoot back. It's like, okay, did that. That was cool. Like, now what? Like, what's the actual mission? Like, there's never an actual mission. Like, hey, we need to go take this stronghold and push the enemy out of here. You know, I had one mission where it's like, hey, there's a lot of bad guys over here. We got to go fucking take care of them. You know, and then we went there and we took care of them. And then it's went right back. Like you just got filled back in with more quote unquote bad guys, you could say. And I don't even want to call them bad guys. It's, you know, it's just fighters, you know? So it's just like, I don't know. It's one of those things you look back and you're just like, what did I actually accomplish? Didn't accomplish much of anything. There was no real mission. And I think a lot of veterans are seeing that. So.
Yeah, I think like we don't, well, I don't anyways in my personal life really try to talk to other vets about anything unless they bring it up to me, really. I've lost a few friends over stuff like that, but I think a lot of vets get so upset about it because if they start questioning what they, or whether the war was right or not, then they have to question whether what they did was okay or not.
Right.
Yeah, and that's not always easy.
Mm-mm. It's not. It's a very bitter pill to swallow, dude. I mean, especially if you have taken lives. You know, it's something where you have to sort of, like, I guess, just look at the facts for what they are, and then once you see it, it's almost impossible to unsee. So, I mean, it's definitely extremely comfortable. You know, I wouldn't say it's necessarily comfortable to compartmentalize, like, you know, your grief or things that you deal with on a daily basis, but it's more comfortable than, like, okay, so this was perpetuated by people that really don't give a shit about me. But, you know, once you see it for that, then it does get a little bit easier, but it's hard to get over that, I guess, that barrier where it's like, okay, so this whole thing was a lie. It was a facade. I was more or less brainwashed into it. And I'm not trying to be like, oh, we're all victim veterans, you know what I mean? Like some crazy bullshit like that. It's just that to a certain extent, we didn't have the full scope of things at the time that was kind of being, I guess, peddled, you know. And when you're a cog in the war machine, you know, it's very difficult to look at it from an objective lens. So
Especially when you're just a dumb kid from the Midwest.
I was just about to say that. You know, I mean, something that I talk about a lot is that while I don't, you know, I've gotten very little hate mail. I'm small enough that I've gotten very little hate mail for this show. But what I have gotten is usually like, I'm so disappointed in you for not supporting, you know, your fellow veterans or whatever, because I don't condone the things that I was a part of or the things that other people were a part of just because I was in that club. And you know, I can empathize with the kid who, like me, like I basically for all intents and purposes flunked out of my first semester of college because I was like, college is stupid, I don't want to do this, I hate school. And you know, I'm back in school now, but in the time I was like, I'll just join the military, I'm a constitutionalist anyways, I'll go support and defend my freedoms from those people trying to take them. And I can empathize with that. I was there. But I think there's, you know, like you were kind of alluding to, there's sort of a point where you just have to kind of say like, but it was wrong, you know. Like all the facts were available to us. We just out of either naivety or a lack of understanding of the situation or just not looking into it, made the choice.
yep.
Yeah, man, for sure. Like when I joined the Guard, I was 17 years old. When I was in when I was in Afghanistan, I was 19 years old. You know, like at the time, I was like, oh yeah, I'm a man. You know, here we go, doing man shit. But looking back at it now, being 28 years old, and it's like, was I really a man? Not really. Like I was still a fucking punk kid that just got out of high school. You know, so didn't know a whole lot, didn't have a whole lot of, yeah, like Dane said, you know, just a kid from the Midwest. Like I haven't traveled around the world or anything like that, so I'm like, let's join the Army and see what happens. And
Yeah.
yeah,
I was a little bit different than Jake, I guess, in one sense, but yeah, I wasn't nearly like, I guess, as radical or extreme as I am now towards my uh, philosophy or whatever. But at the time that I enlisted into the Guard, I knew it was during a time of warfare, and I knew that that unit was probably going to get deployed pretty soon, you know. But I was a Ron Paul supporter in '08, just because he said something different than the Bush dynasty and, you know, the McCains and everybody else was saying, you know, and Obama. And I thought that was very interesting. However, I just really did not devote any extracurricular time to that. Like I read Ron Paul Revolution, a Manifesto once, and I was like, okay, that's pretty interesting. And then shortly after, I enlisted in the Iowa National Guard as an infantryman to basically go fight in a war. But I was also extremely poor. Fell into a rut pretty hard, and they offered me a $20,000 bonus. And I said, okay, well, if I have to go over and do this in Afghanistan, then I'd be okay, because at least it's not Iraq. And at that time, I did believe that the Iraq War was, you know, the WMD thing. I knew that was pretty much bullshit.
mm-hmm.
But you know, fighting Afghanistan, okay, well, they brought it down the Twin Towers, you know, so I was like, I can sacrifice that little bit. But I did have a pretty lengthy time in the military, and I also went on recruiting and put other people into the machine for a little while too. And you know, I didn't really fully understand what all this was until my last year in recruiting, which is a 3-year stint. So, and that's what drove me over the edge. And I was just like, I cannot continue to participate in this.
Yeah.
How long did you go without recruiting somebody?
Let's see. My first year I did really well because I did believe that, like, you know, poor people should have the opportunity to, I guess, get a job. And
what I meant was like when
like
your
the length of
last
time.
year, yeah, the length of time, the longest stint that you did not recruit one person.
I think the longest time I went without actually enlisting someone was probably 10 to 11 months, maybe
Wow.
longer.
That's what's up, dude. I just wanted everybody to know that.
Yeah,
The funny thing is, during that time I hit Rothbard and I'm gonna throw the correction out there, Hazlitt, right, with economics in one lesson. and I would go and I'd take a government vehicle, one of the little Ford Focus pieces of shit, to a parking lot, and I'd just park there and read. I was like, fuck this.
Yeah. I'll never forgive my recruiter for letting me go be a crew chief. I could have like sat at a desk or something. But you know, I mean, at the same time, maybe I wouldn't be where I am now. But that guy was an F-16 crew chief, so he knew the absolute slog he was putting me in. So, but I mean, it's interesting that you bring that up though, because I feel like so the one piece of mail that I've ever gotten that really just like hurt me was like, and not this is not somebody insulting me. I don't give a shit if people insult me, honestly. It was a dude who was a police officer who was like, "Listen, man, I've been listening to your show, and like I totally believe that what you're saying is true." And I think this kind of ties into the military, and you'll kind of see where I'm going in a second, maybe. But he was saying like, I get it, like we enforce laws that are unjust. I have personally probably put people in either prison for debt, or I've given them a ticket that has been at the absolute wrong time that they didn't do anything wrong to deserve, or you know, and I've been a part of this, but like I can't leave because I have I have a wife and kids. And or what if, you know, I try to not do this and I get either demoted or I get in trouble for not upholding my oath. And it was just one of those moments where I can remember me whenever I first accepted this was I had about a year left. And thankfully I was in Korea at this point, but I had accepted the fact that like I couldn't do this anymore and that I was a full blown pretty much anarchist by this point. The show I'd just kind of been doing it for a few months, almost as an exploration in itself. And so I really empathize with that. And I don't know if you guys you know, your particular example I think would be really cool to share just a little bit more with some of these people who feel like they're in this position. But I mean, I'm sure most of us can empathize with that when it hit us and we were all still in the job. You know, we have contracts. There's nothing we can do unless we get ourselves kicked out. And sometimes that can ruin your life.
Mhm.
So
Absolutely, dude. Yeah, no, I empathize with that 100% because like I ended up re-enlisting at one point. So I mean, I did a pretty good length of time. If you include the National Guard time with my active duty time, I was in for, you know, over 12 years. And I know what people are going through while they're in there. And especially if you sign an indefinite enlistment, which is, you know, usually at the 12 or 13 mark, 13-year mark, Jake. You can
13.
correct me. 13.
13. Yep.
Yeah. So you're there until you do your 20 and you
Well,
retire. And
yeah, actually, it's not necessarily like 13 years, but it's like, was it 3 enlistments?
okay.
oh yeah.
3 enlistments. So when you re-enlisted, you re-enlisted for the 3rd time. So your next enlistment would have been indefinite. And my next enlistment would have been indef.
Yeah.
But
And you know, when you get to that point, dude, I mean, you know, you're good at what you do. Sometimes, you know, there are people that sign indefinite enlistments and they retire and they're not good at what they do.
they fucking suck.
But for the most part, if you are good at what if you are but you know, if you are good at what you do, it's hard to get to a point where it's like, fuck all this, I'm sick of it. You know, and it's like, and it becomes comfortable because it is a good paycheck. You know, if you're at a staff sergeant or above, that's good money, dude. Staff sergeant's like 60,000 a year roughly. And that's when I got out, that's what it was at. And you're going from a complete shift in societies where you're making a lot of money, you have complete medical and dental care, you have a life insurance policy, you're not paying shit for any of that. You have tuition assistance where you can knock out your bachelor's degree in no time and not pay a single dime or touch your post 9/11 GI Bill. And you know, and then you're going to switch, you're going to throw all that away and then switch to being entry level, making jack shit. And it got to the point, dude, where it was like, I would rather not put a gun in my mouth every fucking day to go and just, you know, being scraping dollars. And so far I'm not scraping dollars, you know, since I've been out, but you know, just go learn a trade, contribute to the economy, and then you'll work yourself back up to where you were at eventually. You know, if you have the work ethic that you had in the military, then that will definitely help you get something good, or at least work towards something good on the economy. But you know, if you're a piece of shit in the military and you just milk the socialist benefits that they offer you, you're not going to contribute shit to the economy. So the economy is not going to give you shit back.
Yeah, that's funny that you say that too, because when I got out, I had no fucking idea what I was going to do with my life. Like, I mean, my platoon sergeant forced me to go to this job fair, and I didn't want to go because I thought it was stupid. So I went to this little job fair. Me and my buddy were sitting there eating our lunch, and that's how I ended up with the job that I'm at now. But it's like, man, like it was just a weird scenario what happened and how it led to that, But it's just one of those things where it's like, yeah, like when I got out of the Army, I was thinking like, man, I'm gonna have to work my fucking dick off in order to get back to what I was making when I was in the Army. Like, shit ain't free. Like, healthcare ain't free out there, and the world's crazy. Like, there's no jobs. That's what everyone told me when I was in the Army. They're like, good luck out there. There ain't no jobs that pays you what you got here. You got free healthcare, this, that, and the other. Like yeah, but I'm not fucking happy. This shit sucks. Hey, I'm sorry to say it, but I don't like you either. That's telling me this stuff. I don't respect you. So why would I stay around? I had so many leaders I had a lot of leaders I highly respect. I also had a lot of leaders who were like, are you even human? Like, you're a terrible person. But then I got out and I got my job and I worked my ass off because that's what I thought I had to do in order to make it there. And it's like, holy shit, like civilians really don't work as hard as I thought they did.
They always try to scare you to stay.
Yeah, man, it's crazy.
And if you think risking losing your job is scary, just look at some of the statistics, the suicide statistics, divorce, drug usage, alcoholism, especially in cops too. The cops have horrible issues. Same with in some sense I would think, depending on what the cop actually does, but it'd have to be harder than being a grunt over there, because at least you're over there.
Right.
Here you're doing it to your own people.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And there's I know people who have been in multiple shootings here, cops who have been in multiple shootings. They kill too many people all the time. They shoot dogs all the time.
Oh, Jesus.
It's just think about that. You would rather risk, ending your marriage, ending up with a gun to your head, with that drug problems, probably having to kill somebody. Not probably, but it happens possibly. Like 3 times a day, possibly. Right. And then possibly for no reason, too. That's much worse than taking a chance at a job. And dude, give yourself some credit. You're not a piece of shit. Most likely, you might be a piece of shit.
Might be.
But if you're not, then you have nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
Yep.
I have no skills, and everywhere I go, they want me to. Every job I've had, they just want me to do more and more, and everybody wants me to be a part of this project or be a manager here. And it's every single job I've been to, and I have no skills.
Yep.
No real skills.
Well, so. You don't have technical skills, but you do have personal skills.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm very good at making people like me.
Yeah.
So I've been offered jobs that I'm no way near qualified for.
You got a strong back and a nice face.
The same people who were filling sandbags in the military are going to be doing the equivalent in the civilian world, most likely. Everybody knows that guy who just couldn't do anything right to save his life. So it's just...
and also like the dudes that just complain incessantly. It's like, oh, this fucking sucks so bad. Fucking why the fuck are we doing this? And like just bitching about everything. Like in the civilian world, if I don't know, as an NCO when I got out of the Army, like it was just like I hated hearing complaining all the time, and like so I was like, I'm just not going to complain. And now like in the job that I'm going after right now, it's like if you don't complain and you just listen and do like what how to learn the instruction, and you're going to be good at the job, and then you're going to get hired above 19, 20-year-olds and stuff like that are just have no work ethic and stuff like that. But
I think
there are people in the military for sure that just bitch nonstop, and then they're just going to be trash in the real world too, because they were trash before, and they'll just be bad people probably for a long time.
I'm just kind of happy that the race to see who can be the angriest is over. I was so tired of that.
Oh man, dude.
Oh yeah, the salty soldier.
Holy fuck,
Oh,
yeah.
that was good. That was a good time.
Even as airmen, I mean, even in the Air Force, which you think everybody would be like happy-go-lucky. That's how they sell it, anyways. No,
They are.
everybody in the everybody who gets once you get your staff stripes, they turn into the saltiest.
Sure.
Some people I came in with, like they're maybe have been in for a year longer than me. They get that staff stripe put on, and they're like, "I'm an NCO now."
Oh
You
yeah.
got it. And I'm like, "Oh man."
So it is the same over there sometimes.
It really is like a violent gang.
It's bad.
Yeah.
Who can be the most violent? That's how you get promoted.
Yeah, seriously. Jeez.
It's just, well, I mean, across all branches, it's just a bureaucratic waste. And it's like, let me fucking prove that I can be a dick to all these motherfucking Joes, you know? And I'm not going to lie, when I first got promoted to sergeant, like it was kind of like an awkward period. It's like, okay, well, these were my friends yesterday, but they're not my friends now. And I got my motherfucking staff sergeant yelling at me to get on the fucking Joes, but I can't because they were my friends. But
Right.
now I have to compensate, and now I'm going to overcompensate because I'm pissed off from getting chewed out, and I'm also getting pissed off for being undermined. And it's like, okay, so now it's just going full dick mode. I don't know. It took me up until like being a staff sergeant or like a section chief in the field artillery to know the balance. You know what I mean? And it's just like, I'm fucking sick of being mad. This sucks.
It does suck, man.
I refuse to be angry about anything anymore.
That's false. Yeah, come on.
Okay, every once in a while.
There you go. Okay. Definitely less mad.
Dude,
for sure.
The other day we watched a fucking ghost walk past Day, and you didn't even.
Why do we fucking need to talk about
that? You're in front of that fucking window again, just waiting for it to come back.
Dude, I had nightmares that night.
Yeah, it's fun.
Maybe it will come back. Maybe somebody in the video or watching the video will catch it.
So. I hope so. If we see that shit right now, then we will have proof.
Exactly. I'll have it recorded too, so it's all good.
Summon it, Dan. Awesome. Get your Ouija board and let's get after it.
I'll
say a seance with you and get that ghost right back in there.
Do some.
Oh no, sorry. I was just saying something Dane kind of alluded to that I've been doing some research on because I'm going on somebody else's show to talk about cops, but I found some interesting statistics that show that, there's no hard numbers, but it's estimated that about 25% of police officers are veterans, which blew my mind to think about that. 1 in 4 police officers are veterans. And now that when I think about it, in my community, they're either super young or they're vets. So, and I know some of these police officers more than I would like to, but yeah. And I wonder, do you guys think that a lot of that has to do with, like we were kind of talking about, like out of the frying pan and they don't know where to go. So why not go to the next closest, most institutionalized, it almost kind of feels like a home perhaps.
Yep.
The guys that I know, personally anyways, I think it's more of, they just still want to fight.
Yeah. I think it's just, honestly, you think it's as simple as that?
Yeah. I still think I think that's what they want.
I don't think it's quite as simple as that.
There's the ones that I personally know.
Right.
Okay.
No, yeah, I'm not generalizing. Yeah, I just am trying to get a feel for what you guys think about this.
They love the authority. One of them told me that he loved it because he felt like he was back in Afghanistan. He could do whatever the fuck he wanted to.
Oh man!
And it's like, are
brutal?
Come on, man.
That's shitty.
Man, yeah, that's. I feel like.
And then I've known other ones that do drugs, and then brag about how many people they could lock up for doing drugs.
Yeah, that's some A caliber stuff right there. Sorry, Jordan, you were going to say something?
Oh yeah. From what I've seen from people that I know that went from military to law enforcement, I think so. I don't know exactly. I'm not a psychiatrist or anything, but like from what I could see is that they had transferable skills that directly went into like the law enforcement bureaucratic background, where they were good at. They had a high attention to detail. They were physically fit. They could do like what Dane said too, they could still operate on American soil, but they didn't have to move every 3 years. And I think that was a big motivation for people going to law enforcement. Because I'm not going to lie, before I re-enlisted and went on recruiting, I was thinking about ETSing at that time. And I'm not going to lie if I didn't say that I was thinking about doing border patrol at the time, where I was in El Paso.
Wow. Yeah.
Just because I didn't have any other skills. The only thing I knew how to do was to stay fit and shoot guns. And
Mhm.
the one thing is that, like, with Border Patrol, I had to learn language, you know what I mean? But
Dude,
that was interesting to me too.
dude,
And
I called the. Oh, sorry.
no, you're good. Yeah, there are transferable skills, and like, dude, retention and your chain of command, they all get evaluated on their NCOERs and their OERs based off of retention. So if they re-enlist you, they get bonus points for that, and they're going to move on to their next assignment. You know, it's just like in recruiting. The more people you recruit and enlist and stuff like that, the better, the higher in position you're going to be, and then you can retain your spot or move up. But that fear drives people into like law enforcement and stuff like that. So I'm not excusing it. Definitely not. I mean, there's certainly, I'll say this, recruiting, when I went on recruiting, it was probably a blessing in disguise, even though I fucking hated it and I wanted to blow my fucking brains out, literally,
Yeah.
you know? But it did teach me, going to job fairs and stuff like that. It's like, okay, so there's things that I can be interested in the economy. I just have to know how to market myself to be, you know, I guess like appeal to people like that, you know? So there are ways out. You know, you don't have to go to law enforcement for sure. Especially if you didn't enjoy the military, you're not going to enjoy being a law enforcement officer. You're not.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I called the sheriff. I saw there was a job opening in the sheriff's office here when I was still in. I called him. I was gonna apply. Like I was gonna do it because it pays well and has good benefits. And yeah, like Jordan said and Dane said, I had transferable skills at that point in time in my life. You know, I was like, this is something I'm pretty interested in doing. Like I think it'd be, you know, kind of
badass.
yeah, it'd be a fucking badass, dude. You know, I could no, but it's like you're already used to, like has been said before, you're already used to putting on a uniform. You're already kind of institutionalized it to a certain extent for sure. It's like, well, like what else is there? Like, I don't know. I don't know how to fucking do a lot of other shit out there. So it's like either A, I want to go out and pick up some trade and break my back for some other dude to make a shit ton of money, or I'm gonna be a cop. It's like, okay, well, you know, like I don't know. Luckily, at that point in time in my life, they were already looking and they hired someone else. So I was like, okay, that's good for me now, looking back on it. But it's like, I don't know. I don't think I would have made it being a cop for that much longer because, yeah, I was pretty sick of the military. And like being a cop is kind of one of those things where it's like, I wanted my freedom back. You know, I wanted to be able to go home and fucking just be a person again and not be a soldier. Because when you're a soldier 24/7. Or because when you're a cop, like, you know, even though they're on their off duty, they're still a fucking cop, dude. Like people are gonna be weird around you. Like all my friends would be weird around me. Like, oh, Jake's a cop. I better not drink this beer and then go drive because he's a fucking cop now. Like people are gonna be weird around you. You know, like this is one of those things. Like it stopped appealing to me, thankfully. So, and I love the job I'm in right now. So it doesn't. It's good.
I think that's one reason why the police state's getting so violent, and more so because more vets are coming back and getting in to being cops. You know, it's the beginning of the empire coming home.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm curious, have any of you guys, I get this one all the time too. Well, not all the time, but I get this one every once in a while too about, you know, we like to, you know, encourage individual choices and, you know, being an independent person. But have any of you ever personally tried to dissuade someone from joining the military who was like, hey, I'm thinking about joining?
I do as often as I can.
Yeah.
COVID-19 lockdown in here.
Hold on. My fucking parents are.
You're good.
That is my dad. Now I can tell you for sure I did in my last year on recruiting. So that's funny. There are requirements for military recruitment are actually pretty strict in doctrine, but in practice, it's actually not. Like it gets. I don't know if I want to say this on, you know, fuck it, I'll just say it. So you do something called a hot seat, and you just kind of like say, okay, when you get on the MEPS, you don't bring this up, right? You don't bring up your depression meds. You don't bring up your self-mutilation or things like that. Like,
Yeah.
you know, people do that. And my last year, easily, probably longer than a year, I was turning away everybody. I was like, no, you're disqualified. Go away. You know, and most recruiters, and then they get, you know, awards and all that other shit based off of how good their hot seats are. And hot seat is just like, you know, this is where you're going to conceal down there. And if they find out that somebody was persuaded by a recruiter to conceal something, then the recruiter will get in trouble, basically. But basically, what it's going to be is that they're going to get kicked out of recruiting and then back to their job. But it's some fucking shady business that goes on in there. But, you know, I did turn away a lot of people, and that's why I didn't enlist anyone in my last year. Because sorry, no, man, I don't want to fucking have the guilt of you enlisting and then fucking blowing your brains out because you couldn't deal with the stress. You know, I didn't want to deal with that. Maybe it's selfish, I don't know, but it's ultimately maybe saved some lives, maybe not.
I personally, I think it was the right move. Personally,
yeah.
I mean, you know, fuck the oath. I get that all the time. You made an oath. Fuck the oath. I mean, you probably saved some people's lives and they'll never know it. So that's, you know, something to think about too. Sorry, I just wanted to say that. I'll let you guys continue. I just felt like that was important to say.
No, it is.
Yeah, you're
don't,
good, dude.
Don't apologize.
Yeah.
I try to make people understand that our government has helped, and I don't know how much currently, but Al Qaeda funding them, and you know, the moderate rebels in Syria.
Osama bin Laden was a CIA agent against the Russians when they invaded Afghanistan.
Yeah.
What the hell? I mean,
so it's like you sent us there to go. You claimed that we were going to fight Al Qaeda. You didn't even make that big of an effort to get Osama bin Laden. And then you hear George Bush saying, you know, he's not even that big of a deal. You don't even know what the war on terror is. And nobody knows the difference between the Taliban and Al Qaeda. And then when you figure it out, it's like, oh, the Taliban were never our enemy in the first place. Sure, fucking horrible, shitty people, but no threat to us. And we've just made it so much worse over there with being there in the first place. And we kind of just went and started a war with the Taliban.
And what's crazy to think about too is that we pushed, you know, a good majority of the Taliban either into hiding or out of large occupied areas of Afghanistan. But once we retracted, they all just came right back. And they just took the exact same places they were in. We just made a deal with the Taliban. They're like, all right, we're done fighting you for now. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It just shows the futility of it, really.
Didn't we bomb them like 3 days later?
Yes. Well, yeah, exactly. We signed the deal and then they attacked us, so we responded. But, you know, it was just like a one-time fling. So.
And Al Qaeda grew in numbers immediately. And it's like, who's our real enemy and what are we doing?
Mm-hmm.
Like, all we were doing is benefiting the people who actually attacked us.
Yeah. Initially, there was only what, 1,000 or less, or no, it was over 1,000 of Bin Ladenite.
I think it was 400
extremists. Huh?
I think it was 400.
Okay. I mean, after the initial bombing of Afghanistan from 9/11, I mean, there was even less. And in Fool's Errand, Scott says it was less than to fill a pirate ship. So, yeah. I mean, you know, if you're going to be worried about invasion from those people, you know, imagine a pirate ship washing up on American shores with fucking cannons ready, you know?
Yeah, you got to think about why
blown out of existence.
Why'd they come after us in the first place?
Yeah.
You know, it's because we were over there. And they wanted to do their own shit over there, and they knew they couldn't do it with the American empire being in their way.
Right.
You know, something that I don't think I ever fully bought was the whole, like, oh, we got to go defend our freedoms. Like, you're telling me that these guys who can barely scrap together the stuff for fertilizer and a cell phone are going to come over and, like, do some kind of full-scale invasion of, like, I get it, you know, 9/11, like, we could talk about that later if you guys want to. That's a tangled web right there. But I've lost a couple friends over that one. But, you know, whatever. Let's, you know, just take that at face value. Even if all of that, like, the way it was kind of sold was just, like, full-scale effort against our freedoms. Like, we were going to be in chains by these, Islamic extremists if we didn't go over there and blow them all up. And I don't know if I ever really bought that particular line of reasoning. I think I just, like I said, kind of a duty calls sort of thing.
Yeah, I didn't buy it. I guess one way that I compartmentalized it was that, okay, so American troops are over there dying. I can go there and at least help them, right? Like that was my logic. But I get what you're saying, though. Yeah, I'd never bought in, especially the religious narrative where it's like, oh, the Muslims just want to take our freedom from us because they don't like the liberal nature of America. Like I never bought into that.
They
at
hate us
all.
because they ain't us, man.
Yeah.
You know,
And even
man.
going to Afghanistan and talking to them, like they are not religious fanatics. I mean, the
No.
majority are not, and they are beer drinking, booze drinking, hash smoking, weed smoking.
They're people.
Like
There's
they just
people.
honestly, they just you fall on one side or the other in that
Mhm.
part of the world.
They're,
And it's like
they're a lot like us. They're just trying to live their fucking life, whether it's shitty or not. Like it's like in our eyes, it's shitty. Like, oh, they're living in mud fucking huts. Like it sucks. Yes, but to them it doesn't suck. Like that's their life. That's for one, that's all they know, and they're very very family oriented. Like they have extended family, live in the same mud hut little compounds that they are in. So it's like they're very family. They have hearts. Like they care about each other. It's like they're not fucking crazy heathenistic fucking psychopaths just out there for blood.
I think that's important because even a lot of people who are pacifists, I think still, or not even pacifists, but non-interventionists. Sorry, I didn't mean to use the word pacifist, but even people who are non-interventionists have a misconception about these people. They'll say like, okay, maybe they want to blow us up, but like that's, they'll blow each other up. It's fine, whatever. And it's like, that's not how the majority of these people are. They're people. They just want to live their lives,
Yeah.
And some getting tired of us killing their kids.
That's a big part of it. Blowback. I wanted to talk about that a little bit too.
But yeah, some of them are fucking crazy, and they want to. All they want to do is kill Westerners and stuff like that. But then, what you're just alluding to is like, why is there so many that want to kill Westerners? Like, whenever they see Westerners, what are we doing? We're fucking killing them by the thousands. Like what they've seen, like what I've seen when I was over there for a year in Afghanistan is nothing compared to what like some of those like young kids and stuff have seen their entire lives.
Yeah.
They don't go on deployment cycles, they live it. That's their life.
Every fucking day, dude. Like we go in there for a year or 6 months or 9 months or however long the deployment is. Like we go in there for a limited amount of time. We do what we need to do, and then we leave, and we're back home in our safe, secure America with all our friends and family. They have to keep, and they have a new group of people coming in every year, 6 months, 9 months, however long. A new group of people coming in trying to prove themselves on the same territory all the fucking time. Like that would get tiring.
Yeah, and we got trained soldiers who have been conditioned into a mission that they, has been sold to them. And these are some of these people. I mean, a lot of these people are just kids, teenagers, how do you think if we have a hard enough time with suicides and with people not able to cope with what they saw, what do you think these people who lost family members or were in, some big battle or just on the sidelines and got caught up in it? I mean, how do you think they feel? That's what I tried to tell people.
The rise of suicide bombing is a new thing too. Like when I say new, I mean like in the last probably 15 years, and it's not because like they were promised 72 versions of heaven or whatever like that, because the majority of suicide bombers or extremists that go into groups like Al Qaeda or ISIS or whatever, they're not extremely religious. It's just that they have gotten to a point where they are willing to sacrifice themselves to be a strategic catalyst, to pushing off the invaders.
They got nothing
and
left
that's really
to
what
lose.
it is. Yeah.
It's a terrible thing to think about, honestly.
Yeah, it is. It's extremely depressing.
Yeah.
And one thing to look at too is like, looking back in history and stuff, you see all these pictures of these, poor kids in France during World War II and the casualties during that war. on like innocent people in World War II, you know, like, but that war was not near as long as this war is continuing to go on, you know, all the fucking kids like losing their family members and losing their siblings and shit like that over there. It's craziness. And then you got to think about too, like, you know, being on this podcast, you know, we're all liberty minded people. It's like, how many liberties have we gained since these wars started?
I can
fucking zero. We haven't gained shit. We lost a lot.
It's a negative number. Yeah,
it's a negative number. It's crazy. Like we're all liberty focused here, and like everyone looks at America being like a free country and liberty minded country. Like, oh yeah, we're free people. We're free to live our lives the way we want to live them. Well, every war that pops off, every catastrophe that happens, every pandemic that pops up, it's just they're whittling away more and more and more of our rights and taking away our freedoms to be who we want to be. And they're trying to create us to become who they want us to become.
After what's happening with the coronavirus, I hope everybody takes a real hard look at just how free they really are.
Yeah, they won't, man. They won't, man. There's so many people out there screaming on the top of their lungs, like, please help me, government. There's a fucking hidden enemy out there that we can't see that's trying to kill us all.
It's so true.
Mm-hmm. Please help me. I don't know what to do. Like, I need to stay in my house. Please. I can't make money in my house. Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, oh, don't worry. We're here. Here's $1,500. Like, oh yeah, cool. Great for you. Like, what the fuck?
Guess what? Nazi Germany wasn't, the entire citizenry wasn't at gunpoint. They supported Nazi Germany.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and that's similarities with the corona crisis going on right now. And it's like, oh, if you don't have your papers to show to the cops that you were an essential business, like, you should be arrested. And it's like, you know what, dude? Fuck that.
I just got my papers today.
Papers, please.
Dude, I do have papers.
Yeah. We all
and
got
if
our
I
papers,
get pulled over, if I get pulled over, it's gonna be really hard not to be like, are you asking me? Because if you're just asking me, I'm gonna say no.
Yeah.
But if you're going against your oath to the Constitution and forcing me to show you that American citizens have their papers to travel in their own state, in their own towns, then they'll show them to you.
Yeah. It's like,
which one is it? I think all cops need to fucking answer that right now.
Yeah. Everyone put their everyone put their Jew stars on, you know, like it's like they're marketing out there.
Stars.
Yeah, they're essential business stars.
Yeah. You say Jew stars, but it's actually like Star David, but that's cool. You can
it's enough.
We'll forgive you. We'll forgive you this time. I'm not politically correct either, so it was going to be you or me. One of us was going to say something offensive.
Do you think like everyone out there was calling him fucking the Star of David? Probably not. They were probably, you know, snickering back. Oh, look at all the Jew stars out there. I don't know.
All the Nazis.
Assuming,
welcome to the club.
Oh, jeez, man.
I'm just kidding. Hey, everybody, I'm just kidding.
No, you're good. You're good. This is like I said.
Sometimes we say some shit. All right, I don't know what you want me to do about it.
I mean, seriously though, I know a lot of people who are like pro police or whatever, who, you know, they're maybe on the fence. We'll put it that way. They're like, you know, the minarchist types, libertarians with a capital L, you know, and they were very much a part of the whole, like, oh, look at all these cops in Virginia who said that they're not going to enforce all of these, you know, unconstitutional red flag laws and AR-15 bans. And I'm like, yeah, okay, it's cool, I guess, that they're doing this particular thing. And then you turn around and you see those exact same people justifying, like, well, you know, we have to have forced quarantines because if we don't, then the virus will spread and people will die. And I'm like, but that's not how rights work, you know? They don't vanish because things are bad,
right?
You know?
Yeah, just because you're scared doesn't mean we should all have to forfeit our rights because certain people are scared, you know. No, you're wrong. Like, there's certain things about this that are scary, yeah. But I know, especially talking to Dan and Jordan, I'm sure you too. Like, I'm not really scared of the virus, man. Yeah. I'm scared of what's coming to fight this virus.
And you know, if I was older, I would certainly probably take this more seriously and minimize contact with people. And you know, I think that there are people who do need to take this seriously.
For sure.
But the second you start telling me, I'm probably the youngest person here. I certainly am actually a 24-year-old man, that I can't go and, whatever, go to the park or go to a gun store or go to wherever the hell I want, that I have to be moving to some sort of essential business or something like that is a fundamental violation of my right to liberty to be able to travel.
But you're gonna kill all the old people, man. You're
Exactly.
gonna spread it to them all. You're
Old
somehow you're gonna
people
go.
should stay home.
Yeah, you're gonna go out there. You're
They're
gonna
scared about
get the
it.
coronavirus, and you're gonna go running through nursing homes, coughing on everyone or spitting on them. I don't know.
And maybe the
You know-
smart move is to stay inside. Maybe it is. Honestly, maybe that's the wisest decision. But it still doesn't change the fact that you have a right.
Yeah,
You know.
I told.
No, I could be sympathetic to the coronavirus scare if Corona was killing as many people as cops. Once that happens, then maybe I'll care. But there's no evidence that any healthy, normal person should be worried about it. There's really not. It's killing old and the weak, which viruses do all the time.
Mm-hmm. Just the way that's
Yeah.
life, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think the media has done a great job as far as spreading their fear mongering message like they usually do.
Mhm.
And they've all kind of collected towards it and come to a certain point where it's like, I don't know, you just need to stay at home. It's like, okay, well, some people need to stay at home. Certainly. Yeah. And this, like you guys said, this is certainly a scary thing for old people or, not infants, but like adolescents. But like people that are more than likely entrepreneurial minded, like this is really fucking them over hard. Like 20 to 30, like 20 to 40-year-olds are getting fucked over pretty bad. And especially people that started a small business in the last year are getting hurt bad. And this is not good for the economy. It's terrible. And these lockdowns are doing the opposite. They basically is just killing the free market, and it's just making people more socialist, honestly. And it is. And it's making a lot of Republicans that I knew in the past were like, you know what? Honestly, if the government said we couldn't go anywhere, we would revolt. It'd be 1776 again. It's like,
man.
okay, where are you now?
Lock and load, motherfucker. They're telling me not to leave my house.
I meant to say that. Yeah.
Now they're saying that sit at home, wash your hands, and collect your stimulus checks. It's like, okay, so I guess we really just know the difference between statist and non-statist, because that's really what it comes down to.
A not very scary virus is killing our economy.
I think, I mean, I don't want to get too far into the economy. I'm not an economist, but I think the writing was on the walls already, that it was just waiting for something to trigger, the next.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm not an economist, like, whatsoever, but you look at how much debt we're in, and then you look at you're shutting down all these small businesses, and that affects not just them but the people they're buying supplies from too. And then the government's going to shell out all this money to just give everybody. That's going to fucking kill the dollar. There's no way around it. It's already dying. It's just going to be like, it's going to speed it up.
You're out of here.
What's that?
You're out of here?
Pennies or dollars and shit. You're out of here.
Oh yeah.
I was just sorry.
No,
I'm not out of here. I'm still
good.
here.
You're good. I thought you were leaving. I was like, oh, okay.
No, dude.
Oh,
yeah, fuck this. I'm out of here, man. You guys are talking about money and stuff.
Listen, though, I mean, you guys are all overreacting, right? Because the government's or the Fed's going to inject, $2 trillion in stimulus, I think it is, and we're all going to get our Trump bucks, and everything's going to be fine. So I don't know why you guys are worried about the government encroaching in our lives, because they're the ones who could take care of this, whatever.
You're right. No, that's true. Yeah, that's very true. I mean, I'll sit in my house as long as you want to keep sending me that fucking money, dude. You know what I'm saying? I just need that free healthcare too on top of it. That's all I'm waiting for.
I caught
Dude,
someone.
I'm set. Send me that Trump bucks and the fucking Trump care rules. I'll quit my job, dude.
Yeah. Well,
do you think if Yang hadn't ran, it would be $1,000?
I don't know.
Like if Yang hadn't been running on, I'm literally gonna give you money if you vote for me every month.
Yeah.
$1,000 every month.
It's called fucking bribery, gang.
Well, I know, but do you think that would be happening right now?
I don't know.
Oh, jeez,
I don't know. It's the grain dole. That's all I can say.
I feel like the $1,000 thing is turned into the new like $15 minimum wage. Like, why stop there? Why just give us $2,000?
Yeah,
why
my
stop
life
there?
would
Like,
be much better if you
hold
gave me 10 grand right now.
yeah, honestly, are you really living comfortably off $1,000 a month? Hell no, you're not. Like, that's not a living wage. You need to give me a living wage. I need $4,000 a month, man. That's a living wage.
So imagine if Andrew Yang would have campaigned on the fact, like, oh no, here's the reason that the economy is going to crash, and here's the reason I'm going to give you 1,000 Yang bucks. Like, do you think it would have been a little bit different?
I mean, he sort of did that though, right? With the whole AI thing, he talked about how AI is going to be displacing people from the job market, and maybe not killing the economy. But what does the normal person who's not politically or economically minded think when they hear about a recession? They think about losing their job.
True.
So
Very
it's,
true.
I think it's really a recession by any other name if you subscribe to the AI will displace all human workers theory. Because really, it's the only people who don't lose is the well, again, in theory, if this were to happen this way, is the multi-billionaire corporations that all of a sudden can't scrape together any money, which I think is very funny. But
Dude, don't even get me started on AI and robots and shit.
Oh,
That
yeah?
shit scares me so bad, dude. I
Really?
was talking to my dude.
Well, like, I figured you're a technophobe. You couldn't figure out Skype
I
earlier.
fucking hate it, man. Like, okay, so like, imagine we start like these, like 10 years ago, robots couldn't fucking stand up straight without falling over without help from a human. Now they're jumping up, fucking doing all sorts of shit. It's like, dude, in like 10 more years, we're all gonna have our own little robots doing the shit work that we don't want to do. You know, like, oh, I don't want to go pick up my dog's poop. I'll have my robot go do it. Then the robot's gonna start doing it, but the AI is gonna get so intelligent that robots can be like, why the fuck am I doing this? Is bullshit. We need to fight for robot rights. Now we have a bunch of robots saying like robot rights, robot. You know what I mean? Like now we got you got politicians up there like saying like, oh man, I really don't want the first robot politician. That'd be or first robot president. That'd be crazy. Then we get our first robot president. Now we're living in fucking Terminator, dude.
Jeez, dude, take it easy.
I was about to
Stop
say,
watching Chappie.
Does anybody have a rope
it,
on this
man.
guy? Because we got to pull him out of the rabbit hole real quick. You know?
Robots scare me, man. And AI, that shit's scary.
Yeah. So
It does, dude.
we got a comment here that says, so what you're saying is KB Toys was way ahead of its time.
Dude, the Furby is gonna fucking own you.
Oh Jesus, that would be such a terrible way to die. See a Furby on your chest in the middle of the night.
Yeah, you
Blinking
fed it
with his
after
plastic
midnight. Now it
eyelids.
turned into a gremlin.
Oh no. Oh man. So I mean, do you guys vote? I think this is important to ask. I ask a lot of people this, especially people who call themselves voluntarists. What do you guys think about voting?
Yes.
Okay.
Jake does.
So do you.
I voted last election for Trump. No, I'm just kidding. I didn't vote for Trump.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm actually ashamed to admit that I did vote for Gary Johnson because I think it was better at the time. Between Hillary and Trump, dude, I was in a rock and a hard or whatever. Fucking
I voted for Gay
expression.
J too, so I mean, I
Yeah.
feel you there, man.
KJ.
Yeah, that's what I call him now, Gay J.
I'm not.
I voted once before in my life, and probably I don't know. Like if Jacob Hornberger made it, I would vote for him just out of respect for what he's doing, really. And a lot of people do like view it as violence, and I can almost understand why. However, looking at Ron Paul, he did way more for liberty, for the movement than anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, we live in a political world, and that's where we're at.
Yep.
So I mean, you can be pure and not vote, and good on you. If you vote, I'm not going to be mad at you. I'm not going to unless it's somebody at like Ron Paul or Jacob Hornberger.
Right.
And,
yeah. Me personally, I'm kind of done voting for the lesser of two evils. It's like if I don't believe in anyone, I'm not going to vote. But if I do at least somewhat believe in what is trying to accomplish, then I'll vote for him. You know, like I voted for Gary Johnson, but that's because, you know, I'm like, we got to do something. I feel like, you know, at the time. But if Gary Johnson were to run today, I just wouldn't vote. Period. But I go and I vote. I feel like it's very important also to vote for state representatives. You know, just because like what Dane said, we live in a political world. It's like I think it's definitely more important to vote for your state representatives than like federal. It's like whatever, you know. I don't know, but your state. Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say, if you have liberty-minded people running, it would be better for them to be in office than not be, because it's a stage. and they might be able to get something done, or at least vote no.
Right.
You know, and it helps spread the message.
Exactly.
So
And the media is all about politics right now. It's like that's all it is. It's politics. So it's like, yeah, if you want to get your message out there, politics is probably the best way to be in. Which is, yeah, it's like kind of, it's evil, sure, but it's like, it's one of those things where, I don't know. I'm not gonna judge you if you don't vote. If you're like Dan said, if you're a purist and you don't want to vote because you don't believe in it, good on you. Like I'm a volunteerist. Yeah, like, don't do what you don't want to do, man. I ain't gonna fucking harp on you to vote or not to vote. It's like you're free to do whatever you want, man.
Yeah, I certainly understand where people come from when they say that voting is an act of non-aggression. I understand that 100%. However, I think right now we're in a unique time where we do have a principled candidate that's running for the Libertarian Party right now. In my opinion, I think I would cast my vote for Jacob Hornberger 100%. If Hornberger doesn't get the Libertarian Party nomination, I will not vote, because and like, I don't like the whole like virtue signaling of like people with their stickers on their shirts like I voted and everything else, and it's like, if you didn't vote, then you don't have an opinion, and it's like,
yeah,
oh, fuck you, dude.
I got a brain, bitch.
Yeah. I want to say one more thing about voting. I think it's pretty sure it's Walter Block who explains it this way, right? So let's say all of us, he kind of explains it this way, but all of us are owned by the same slave master, and we get to vote on the dude who beats us. And dude A beats us 10 times a day. Dude B beats us 3 times a day.
Oh yeah.
So if I vote for the dude who beats us 3 times a day, are you still going to look at me like that's an act of violence against you guys because he beats you 3 times a day, or more of a self-defense? So like I don't have, it's all the way you look at it, but do or you don't, I'm not going to judge you. I don't, ever since I changed my mentality on the whole liberty thing. But like I said, I would if it was somebody that I actually really believed in.
Yeah, I'll vote for Hornberger all day. But yeah, if he doesn't get the LP nomination, then it's like, I don't even know if I'm gonna stay in the fucking Libertarian Party. Honestly,
no.
Fucking.
This was the first year I didn't renew my Libertarian Party membership in the last, I think, 4 years, and so I mean, I don't want to drop too many esoteric texts, but if you guys are aware of Spooner at all, he has a really good Lysander Spooner has a really good way of describing defensive voting, kind of like what you were talking about, Dane, of like, listen, if this guy says he's going to take all of my rights and this guy says he's only going to take one of my rights, I have a vested interest in making sure only one of my rights gets taken. And he talks about the ballot is a replacement for the bullet. And I think that really that's your two options, right? Is to try to find a peaceful way in the system, if you believe it's possible to work your way out of it, or you got to fight your way out of it. And I don't think any of us want that, really. I think we all understand what that entails.
Yeah.
It's not a fun time.
It's uncomfortable.
Yeah,
people, I don't like being uncomfortable.
Yeah, people talk about the boogaloo and stuff like that. Like, oh yeah, boogaloo. It's like, man, just call it what it is. It's a civil war, man. You fighting your own people. Like no one wants to do that. I don't think. If you do, then I don't know how much respect I'd have, I guess. But I don't know. Civil war and stuff like that. It's like, that does not sound appealing to me whatsoever.
It definitely wouldn't be a fun time. I can guarantee you that. It's not going to be a luau on the beach where we all celebrate how we overthrew the government with a couple AR-15s.
Yeah.
It's going to be very, very uncomfortable and very like, holy shit, this is stressful as fuck. Like the worst stress you've ever experienced in your life. Anybody that's been in a firefight knows that shit is not fun. It's fucking complete stress, like the maximum amount of stress that you could possibly feel. And you just want it to be over.
It's your body telling you shouldn't be there.
Yeah. And it's chaos. And it's just like, how the fuck can I figure this out? And
yeah, I'm not going to lie to you. Like maybe this is weird, but during firefights is probably the least stressed out I was. Like
even initially.
Oh yeah, like
the first time.
Yeah. Like once the bullets started flying, like it was weird because it was more.
It slowed down.
Yeah, like it's just like you're just doing it now. You're just doing
Yeah.
it, you know. But like the preparation or getting ready for it, or the walking, the patrolling, and like waiting for it, that was stressful.
So it's
like
like
where's it gonna come from? And all of a sudden then it pops off, and you're like, okay, now I know where it's come from. Now I know where to go. Now I know what to do. Boom, boom, boom. And it was like the actual act of doing it was not very stressful at all. Is the pre and the post that was most stressful.
It's an unseen enemy thing, right? Like
Yeah.
once they're in front of you shooting at you, you don't have to worry about what door are they going to pop out of, sort of thing.
Yeah, but the thing about like the Boogaloo or the Civil War, the New Revolution, or whatever else, like, man, that would be different because it's like these are my people. You know, it is different. It's like that's not comfortable. It's not fun by any means. You know.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not. And yeah, I understand where people are coming from. Mostly like the Boogaloo thing is like a place of activism where it's like, okay, so people need to realize that this is one extreme that could possibly happen in American history. And on the other hand, it's like, you know, I don't fantasize about these things and I don't want them to happen, you know, and they should never happen. And I hope that it only comes in extreme dire circumstances that a Boogaloo would pop off.
Yes.
And, you know, and eventually when it does happen, if it happens, it's not going to be like it's not going to be a big sexy thing. It's just going to be, you know,
chaos.
Yeah.
Fucking
it's going to
chaos.
start with protests and riots, and then it's eventually going to go underground.
Well, the thing is,
that's how all these things happen.
You got to think about too, like how weakened are we going to be before the people hit their breaking point? You know.
Well, I mean, I was going to kind of say, you know, I'm definitely not the person out there in the streets. I enjoy the memes. I would be a liar if I said I didn't.
Yeah,
but,
they're funny.
They're hilarious, and I share them all the time. But I think, you know, I've been pretty vocal about the fact that like this is not something you want to push if you don't actually understand what you're doing. But I understand the fact that everybody has a line, and sometimes, you know, I mean, like Thomas Jefferson said, from time to time, the tree of liberty must be refreshed with the blood of patriots and tyrants. But it's not something I'm excited about. I don't wake up in the morning and I hope, man, I hope today's the Boogaloo. I hope I get to dust off my AR-15 and shoot some tyrannical representatives. That's not me.
And that's not who you're going to be fighting. You're not going to be fighting the tyrannical fucking representatives. Like if it was just like hey, all the people that storm Washington, okay, whatever. They'll probably no shots would even be fired. You know, just be that was fun.
I surrender.
I guess that's that. But like, look, there's like I don't know what, maybe one or two people in Washington that are like, okay, that dude might be kind of fucking hard to fist fight, but pretty much I feel like I could take out in a fist fight at least 90% of them.
I think the only person
Biden would be the one.
Yeah, Joe Biden's the Goro, dude. He's Mortal Kombat's Goro.
He'd grope you into submission.
Yeah.
Watch, he takes his jacket off. He has fucking 4 arms.
Oh,
right.
God.
Like Nancy Pelosi. Oh, come on. Yeah. Too easy.
I think the only person I couldn't beat up would be probably Dan Crenshaw.
Yeah, he might whoop my ass.
I don't know. I mean,
dude, just stay on his blind side.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
I mean,
dude, I have a dog with one eye that I could train against. You know.
I used to think Dan Crenshaw was pretty alpha, and then like the less of a statist I became, the more I realized like, wow, this dude's just kind of a big puppet with a lot of fancy words, you know.
Dude,
like, I just want to have a conversation about taking everybody's guns away.
I was. Oh my god, dude. I was so stoked about Dan Crenshaw too. I'm like, dude, this guy's legit. And then I started hearing him talk. I'm like, why are you doing to me, Dan? Like, I thought you were cool, man. Oh, dude,
Did you see his post the other day?
Yeah, I have him on Instagram.
Talking about how
it's fucking sad.
Okay, yeah, he was talking about how the Democrats stopped the Republican bill, the socialist Republican bill from going through, and he was all upset about it.
Well, no, it's not socialist.
That's what I'm talking about.
It's not a socialist Republican bill.
Yes, it is.
All right. No, it's not. They're not
You-
socialists, dude.
You guys can't see my face, but I just recoiled from the microphone when he said that.
It's not social. It's not socialism if
if
a
a Republican
doing
does
you
it,
know?
okay, yeah,
It's not socialism.
that's why
they're doing it. They're doing it for the good of us.
Trump
It's called
bucks.
Trumpism.
Oh
Yeah.
man,
Trust Trump.
the Trump
Oh,
train.
and he
dude.
was in this fucking restaurant, right? And he's like,
Yeah.
the Democrats are stopping this bill that would help this business stay alive. And it's like, they wouldn't be hurting if you wouldn't force them to fucking close in the first place.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
what
You
pisses
know what I
me
mean?
off?
They wouldn't need your money if you would just allow them to stay open.
Yeah.
What pisses me off the most about it is that not a single red-blooded American thinks that Boeing should be getting, I think it's like, somewhere in the ballpark of, a couple $100 million that they're going to get from this bailout. Not a single red-blooded American thinks that these people deserve hundreds of millions of dollars for their multi-billion-dollar business to keep afloat because they can't balance a goddamn checkbook. But these guys are going to pass this bill and claim like, oh, we're going to protect the economy. And I posted this on Facebook. I think it was today, actually. I was like, this is how you continue this cycle of multi-billion-dollar companies who can't make it 3 weeks without great business before they're belly up. I mean, I think Iceland is a socialist hellhole, but guess what they don't have a problem with? Their banks, because they let all of their banks die.
You know why? Because their bank wasn't founded from the Rockefellers, Morgans, Rothschilds, and Vanderbilts. So, dude, you look into the creation of the Federal Reserve, it's a fucking ugly thing,
yeah.
dude.
And the
It's
Fed.
scary.
And the Fed as soon as possible.
Yeah. I mean, like the people that print the money that we are only authorized to use right now are private banks. And that's weird. I mean, that doesn't go against anarcho-capitalism at all. It's just that it goes against crony capitalism, which I think anarcho-capitalism would kill.
Hard. I mean, did you guys see the 60-minute special where that Federal Reserve, I don't think it was the chairman, I think it was just a higher board member, said that the Fed has a theoretically infinite money supply to inject into the economy?
No, I haven't seen that. That's interesting. Though.
Yeah, that was, I gagged. I think I physically gagged when he said that out loud.
That's pretty sick.
Yeah, they just print off whatever they need to fucking pump into whatever, Stupid. It's dumb.
If you're still confused about it, none of those people care about us.
No, not a single one of them.
And that's where the idea of
Bernie Sanders, even Bernie Sanders doesn't give a fuck about you.
Nah.
No.
Never have. They're all puppets, man. They're all actors. That's all they are. They're the elite, and we are the people that get fucked eventually, and it's whatever.
This is why
that's kind of the intersectionality, like with socialism and like anarchism comes into play, is that we recognize the system is broken. It's just how are we going to fix it? We can't agree on that. And that's what they want. They want people to keep fucking disagreeing on how it can be fixed and how a proper system can be put into place. But, as long as they keep us warring with each other, that's all that matters. I mean, look at the coronavirus thing, dude. Fucking, if you walk out into the store, dude, I went to the store today and I have a smoker's cough and I was like purposely not trying to cough in the store because I was in fear that I was, be ejected or shunned or whatever.
Crucified with their eyes.
Yeah. They're going to put me on a cross and nail my hands to it. No, I'm just kidding.
Damn you, heathen.
But look at that. I mean, dude, people like venerate the state. The people legitimately venerate the state to put it out, like, so they can extinguish like the flames of things that they're afraid of. And it's sickening. And it's like these things you're afraid of are all made by the state.
Even the virus.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's a lot of evidence to suggest that it came out of someone's weapons lab. So
yeah, probably Plum
I don't know if I believe that, but I wouldn't be like surprised if it came out. I'd just be like, oh, that makes sense.
To be honest, I think
I
think at this point it's a moot point. I mean, whether or not they did it to begin with, they're definitely abusing it to all hell and back. And that's the worst part about it.
It's been here for a while too.
You think so?
Had to win.
I do, maybe not like forever, but I mean,
Oh man,
what are the chances that they find out about it and then all of a sudden it's here, and not like a little bit before that?
Nope. They saw
a few months ago I was coughing. I'm not saying I had it, but a few months ago I coughed so hard on different occasions that I threw up.
Yeah.
Wow.
You do
And
that
it was
before
for
we
months.
podcasted, man.
Yeah,
man.
I threw up in my car.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Because I coughed for like 15 minutes. I stopped at the ATM and I started coughing again, and I was already like hunched over, and then all of a sudden I just started fucking throwing up next to my leg.
You might have had
all
it.
over my car.
It's a possibility.
And then I threw up in my bed.
Oh wow.
Because my wife woke me up and I just started coughing right away. And I don't know if I had or not, but I mean, that was only like 2 months ago.
I have
Wouldn't be surprised.
It's talking about people worshiping the state during this coronavirus thing, people showing their colors. One of our viewers said that someone called the cops on their local ice cream shop because there was more than 10 cars in the lot.
Oh jeez.
Oh my gosh.
I mean,
Yeah, doesn't surprise me.
That's
Honestly.
that is some maximum cuckery. If I can, wow.
Well, how? Okay, never mind. I guess they're quarantining themselves, so they must be pretty bored. But like, seriously, you can't find anything better to do than sit outside and be like, oh, 1, 2, 3, 11. You're shitting me.
These are the same people who'd call a cop on you, or because you looked at them weird in the grocery store, and it's like, oh, they. Or if you were open carrying, they'd just call because, like, I don't feel safe with this person in my community.
Mm-hmm.
Which in Texas, long arms are perfectly legal, and now if you have a license, if the Crown permits it, open carrying a handgun is legal in public spaces too. But doesn't stop people from calling the cops every time they see a freaking gun. So
right, dude. Some people actually think that Asian Americans are carrying the coronavirus and infecting them.
Really?
It's like. Yeah, some people do. Hey, it's been documented, dude. But I don't know. Insane. I haven't seen any repercussions. I'm married to an Asian, but
and you had the coronavirus too, both of us.
Yeah. You know what? Actually, I think there's something to it. I think there's something to it, dude.
Maybe, man. Okay.
Well, I'm not claiming I did. It's just kind of something to think about.
It's totally a possibility. I can't refute it. I can't give you a test.
I'm pretty sure I did, dude. Because I was sick as fuck in like December.
Yeah, so Jordan posted something on Facebook saying like, "Hey, here's this article that's suggesting that it's been here for a while." And I think it. Who was it? Who wrote the article? What was it?
I can't remember. Hold up.
That's not important.
I'm moving on.
But
doesn't matter.
Yeah. Anyways, he was like, "Yeah,
I think it was Trevor."
There was like. Yeah, I was doing the same exact thing right around that time frame too.
Mm-hmm.
And so was I. And I was puking in bed and still going to work.
Well,
and no one around me got infected.
Yeah, I mean, hey, like I said, it's totally a possibility.
For university.
So I think I just got a note. My internet is unstable, and I've had you guys on here for an hour and a half now, and it's been a fantastic conversation. I'm super glad we had you guys here, but I do think right around now is when we should probably be starting to wrap up. It's getting late. So,
sounds good, man.
First off, why don't you guys go ahead, give your pitch for the podcast? I know I've already talked about it, but tell everybody where they can find you guys, where they can reach out to you if, whatever need be. So.
Our Twitters are at V4Vism, at anarcho_Odin, at anarcho Johnson. What?
Who's Odin?
I'm Odin.
There it is.
It's my middle name, actually.
It's very proud. I am Odin. No, sorry.
and my son's middle name is Thor.
Nice.
So, and then Jake's at minarcho Jake, and then our email's vets4voluntaryism@gmail.com. We try to help people out with issues, or at least connect them with somebody we believe can help them. So we've had a little bit of success with that. Really, everybody who's contacted us, we've been able to help so far.
Good.
And then we're on Facebook as well. not super active, but we're still trying to con somebody into running that for us.
We're there. I mean, we definitely run it, and we get messages too. So if you want to,
we definitely
talk
look
to
at
us
it.
on Messenger, we get there. I mean, that's
Mhm.
how we got into contact with us. So
Yeah, we definitely monitor it. We just aren't posting a lot of shit.
Yep.
Yeah, we
It's
all
Veterans
work a
for
lot.
Voluntaryism. The 4 is always the number 4. That's the big thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that'll be in the title. I'll post some links to some of their stuff. Where can they find the actual podcast?
That's you, Jordan. I don't know.
Sure. Yeah, we're on Stitcher, Spotify, iTunes, and really any major podcatcher. We do have a Buzzsprout website that you can go to. If you follow us on Twitter or on Facebook, you can get the access to all of that. But mostly, if you're listening to podcasts right now, you probably have access to a search button that you can find us on, and that's Veterans 4, and that's the number 4, voluntarism.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Yeah, like I said, it was absolutely fantastic having you guys on here. I think it went very well considering how we started with some technical difficulties to begin with, and we've only really had one hiccup to this point. And I think we'll see how it goes, but maybe in the future we'll have to have you guys back on again to talk about some more stuff. How's that sound?
Oh yeah,
That'd be
Anytime,
that'd be
dude.
great, man. Anytime.
Sweet. All right. Well, everybody on the live stream, we're about to shut off. So I thank all of you for showing up. Again, you guys can find me, Christian, over at Liberty After Dark. We got a Facebook page. We got a Patreon. Throw me $1. I'd like to do this for free so I can stop paying into it at some point. Thank you again, everybody in the live stream. You guys have been awesome, super patient. And make sure you check these guys out. They're good. They're good stuff. I promise. I'm not just saying that because I'm a vet. They're genuinely good stuff. I wouldn't have them here if they weren't. So
Thank you, sir.
Thanks,
yeah,
man.
no problem. Yeah. So everybody in the live stream, take it easy, and everybody in the podcast as well. I'll see you guys this Saturday.